Welcome to E-Residency Webinar. My name is Raimo. I'm Head of Partnerships at the E-Residency team. And today we are going to talk about how to exit from your company. It's definitely a sad decision if you need to close or sell your company, but sometimes it's necessary. And as there are a lot of questions regarding how to do it correctly, what are the obligations, how to make it as quickly as possible, at the same time not harming your partners and service providers and yourself. Then today we have a special guest to introduce you this topic, Vadim from Crowe, and he is going to give you an overview. What are the things you need to consider and how to do the exiting process correctly. A couple of technical remarks. First of all, if you have any questions, then those who are following us in Zoom, please do add your questions to Q&A section, not the chat, but Q&A section, and please be as specific as possible. But we cannot, unfortunately, concentrate on personal cases which need to be dealt differently. But if you have any general questions, please be as concrete as possible. So Vadim, the stage is yours. Please to give us an overview how to exit or how to save your company in a very thin mode, if possible.
Thank you, Raimo, for introduction. Yes, I'm and good afternoon to everybody who is watching this webinar. This today topic is how to exit, right? And then I think it's, as Raimo said, it's maybe sad, but maybe not. But it's maybe just the ending on one business is the beginning of another. And I try to give you some observation on what possibilities you have to closing business, or on the more simple way or on the more fastest way. And then we get as topics or agenda that the Raimo asked me to speak on. And then the first question, it was how to sell the company. It means that maybe before the selling of company, it's also a issue that how you are you prepared for the selling. And then the one issue that we very usually meet that's which clients, that's when they want to sell company, where are they kept the accounts properly before the selling, and they submitted the annual reports. So if you want to sell the company, even it's not so much operation or not activity, you have to keep account records. And when there's a deadline of the annual reports, you have to check whether these reports are submitted to register. And this also does the tax issues. That's the sometimes this when you started a startup company in Estonia and you have some preparation or some activities that's not generate revenue yet, but if you have some payouts, some expenses, or transferred assets, or get money from investors, in some situation it can appear that this transaction should be taxed or just present a declaration, and then if you sell in a company, does of course it's one preparation, does you checking that your accountants are presented this declaration. And this just for your information, that if you present this missing declaration, it's no problem with penalty. It's tax authority not impose penalty, but you have to pay late interests on that, because you're paying that taxes later than it should be paid if you do it properly. But it's a good news that it's right now due to coronavirus and some situation, it's even can be freed from this waived from this interest, late interest, or you can reduce that the 50%, this 0.003% per day. But anyway, that's this one obligation that's maybe already appeared, but you don't know about that. And this, of course, if you have some operations, it will be better that you get this like confirmation of balances with debtors and creditors. That's if you're selling to another person, they will assure that it's no any problems coming later with your receivables or liabilities. And then, of course, you have some self-assessed from contingent liabilities and responsibility of the members of the board, because even you're selling the company, for these transactions, that's entered by members of the board when this company belonged to you. It will be liability during the 5 years for any liability or any transaction that can cause the damage for the interest of third parties, for example, creditors or the new owner of the company. Then if you look at that, what transaction you have, it's one of to find maybe some transaction. It's not clear whether this liability will arise in future on that transaction. And of course, if you have some transaction with related parties, that's the question, what was the prices for this transaction? Are they market price, or are you using some special lower or higher prices than should be paid on market from the similar transaction? In that case, maybe sometimes it's more, if you want to get more assurance there's no tax issues on that transaction, it should be some valuation by professional valuers or like that. And of course, this depends that if you have just, I don't know, startup, but it's not good as you plan it, and then you want to close that, and no real activity, it will be enough that you just look it through with your accountants or your legal advisor, it's no some potential problem on that. If you have that company that's operated for sometimes, I don't know, a year or two or more, and have a transaction revenue and expenses, we can recommend that you also take from auditors or from lawyers so-called vendor due diligence, especially if you want to sell company that's real investor wants to buy your company because of some valuable assets that they owned. Then vendor due diligence is the usual procedures before you suggest the company to your buyers, because when the buyers also order the due diligence from buyer side, and they find any of these things that they will lower the price, they will using after on negotiations to say okay, we can buy that, but you have 1, 2, 3 problem that it will be deducted from your selling prices. And then if you find this buyer for your company, it's quite easy. I just say about this private limited company, not this public limited company, because it's there are other procedures, but I think it's more of you have the private limited companies. And then actually this selling of company, it's possible only through notary. No, you cannot sell this company just by your digital signature in the entrepreneurs portal. So anyway, you have sent a query to notaries, and we have public list of notaries. They are all state notaries, and they have the same prices for the transactions. A notary, if you want to get this transaction and you send the size of the parts and you decided to sell and buy this company, this notary also will prepare your agreement. It's quite this formal agreements. You can ask that adds a special article here, but the most of the agreements it's quite standard, and they also put it in this agreement this special liabilities of the parties and after selling and buying of the shares also. And then up to now it was actually today it's free option for entering this contract for selling and buying of shares. That one is coming here in to notary office, but it's right now if you have both sides have these ID cards or e-residency cards, ID cards, then the notary will invite you in the video conferencing call, and they can conclude this transaction just by remotely by video conference call. And there's the third option is that you giving that power of attorney to some lawyer or any person in Estonia who is coming also or take contact with notary by video and signing this agreement. And anyway, you can asking from your legal or accounting firms if you have no any buyer. Maybe they can also suggest to purchase your shares or find the buyers for the your company.
So I have a question. So the service providers that e-residents are usually using can be those to whom the power of attorney is given to make this transaction.
Yes, yes, of course.
Okay.
Any person who is living or let's say staying right now in Estonia, who is can go to notary, for example, or have ID card.
Okay.
Any question, or we go further?
We are going to ask the more questions later. So people,
okay.
If you have any questions, please do add them to Q&A section in the Zoom. And I guess we might have time later also to cover some questions from Facebook comments if there are any. But at the moment we go on. Okay,
thank you. And then the more general topic, how to close the company. And it's really, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 legal options to closing company. It means that deleting of the company from commercial register. The one general is voluntary liquidation. It means that the owners are deciding to liquidate company from their side. The another is that you can merge your company with another company, including that if you have companies outside of Estonia, it's also possible to merge to your company in your home countries, for example. And then merger with assets of natural person. It means, for example, you can merge your company with just your assets that's owned. If the owner of the company is the natural person, it can merge these assets to own assets. And then after that, the company will be deleted. You get these assets of the company as owned by individual. And this also does some cases it can be dissoluted by court decision. I said some these examples, and including bankruptcy procedures. Yes, it's also that's the one way to closing company, but if you're presenting then bankruptcy declaration, so it's mean you passing the control to the bankruptcy administrators that's appointed by court, And it will be depend quite many on who will be appointed, how quickly he or she will process this bankruptcy and liquidation. It's not the fastest way to closing company. And maybe you also get these emails. It's quite many businessmen. I get also this so-called gray liquidators who is suggesting that if you pay, I don't know, 200 euros, we will liquidate your company without any problems. This really what they suggest usually does that they just transfer ownerships to offshore or some foreign companies in Eastern Europe, for example, with suspicious directors and owners. And they promise that in some 1 year or I don't know, half a year, they will liquidate the company. But you should be aware that the tax authority are watching all these emails, and all person who is behind of these companies, and they investigate. We have also court case that they was against these persons, and they're doing all the times on continuing basis investigations on this person. So if you're using these services, you have to understand that you take a risk that you will be involved on some criminal investigation. And also that right now this Estonian legislation impose responsibility to the person that was that former board members that's transfer this also this ownership to these suspicious companies. So this is a risky way. This merger with assets of natural person, I just give you some ideas that how it can be done. That's it's right now is the fastest way to close the company. It's 1 to 2 months. It should be nominal time for closing. And this is some condition to that. That's you should have this ID card and number, and I presume that it's a E-Residency owners will be qualified for that, and it's you cannot be insolvent person to whom these assets will be transferred. This, of course, this some formal things should be followed as a notice to official journal, and it should be getting consent from the tax authority. But anyway, this is right now from the time consuming. This is the fastest possibility. And then this ordinary liquidation, there's a voluntary liquidation of the company. That's actually, if you decided to liquidate, to delete this company from the register, you have to go through these procedures. And then, first of all, you have to make in writing form resolution of owners to dissolve the company and appoint liquidators. The existing member of the board will continue as a liquidators, but this one problem maybe for E-Residency owners that own the companies, that at least one liquidator must be in Estonia. But usually you can ask from this provider of services like accountancy firm or legal advisors that they will give you a liquidator from Estonia who will as administrator of this liquidation. And yes, and this together with this maybe this local liquidator, you have to conduct these procedures. The first of all, as soon as possible, to do this notice in official journal about liquidation. It's give to 4 months to your creditors or your possible creditors to present claims from the time of this notice. It's important because that's the terms of the next steps will be taken in the consideration, not a date of your resolution, but the date of when this notice was published in official journal. And of course, if you know some creditors, you should notice they directly, not just in this official journal. And this is also sometimes the situation you should understand as you can liquidate the company, voluntarily liquidate company only in case that the company liability not exceeds the company assets. If you have more liabilities nor more obligation when you started this liquidation, when it's appear or it's clear for the liquidators, they shall submit a bankruptcy petition, and they have also personal liability if they not submit this petition, as maybe after that somebody creditors will accuse that they're not following the legislation. It's of course also this responsibility of these members of the board to do that. And sometimes that's people or owners said, oh, we have no any creditors, we sure. But if you look into the first slide as they're preparing for the selling, it's also questions. Maybe you don't know about any tax declaration that's not presented in time, and you really have this obligation, but you don't know on the time of the resolution. It can appear laterly as you do in this like clearance and this or tax authority present you some claims on later stage. And of course, when you have time for satisfaction of claims of creditors, this you should when this notice is given and you get any claims, then the one thing that if you cannot satisfy this for any reasons, be on the process of this liquidation, you have deposits these amounts. You just put it on the bank account, or you can also using your service provided bank accounts for using these deposits that they will be, for example, in future you have to pay to some creditors. This is one condition that you can finish this liquidation, delete the companies, even these claims not satisfied on this time. And then when you it's passed 4 months, okay, you have maybe you have no any claims or dissatisfied or paid debts, and then you have present this final balance sheet and the plan for distribution of assets. This will be submitted to register. It means that you finished liquidation procedures and you are ready to distribute assets, if any. For example, also the situation that you have liabilities to owners and you have no assets. In that case, it's okay, formally you have presented bankruptcy, I don't know, petition, but really you can just settle with owners these liabilities that to zero and so what. It really is the best way that in final balance sheet you settle that and you have that's the more liabilities than assets. And then it just regarding to terms, it should be you can distribute assets only when 6 months are passed from the entry of dissolution of limited company in commercial register, and is within 2 months after the date in which shareholders were informed. It means that when you approve with this final balance sheet and assets distribution in practice. Yeah, it's also some terms of that you have to follow in, that at 3 months it should be also passed from this notice that they publish it in the official journal to present this the final petition for deletion of company of commercial register. And then of course you can use that as much as possible, this your possibility to using this ID card in the entrepreneurs portal. You can present these petitions and additional documents through entrepreneurs portal. It's if you're looking at maybe this timeline of liquidation proceedings, I just put it as the main procedures that you have to do that to get this company deleted in the register, and how much is take time. It's I think 3 steps. That's the first step. That's the 4 months. That's you give into you're just waiting for possible claims from creditors, and after that you presenting the final balance. It's not needed sent immediately to register, but it's after that you have also 3 months time to present this deletion application for deletion in the commercial register. After that, it's actually I said here 16 to 28 days also waiting time that their register will delete your company, because they have 5 working days to make any decision. This after that they're waiting 10 days from tax authority. If tax authority not presenting any claims to this company that will be deleted, this after that they have also 5 working days for make this final decision. It means that the ideal situation in 60 days, and if they're using this maximum 5 working days before and after, it will be about the 1 month that you have the company deleted in the register.
So the whole process is altogether around 8 months.
Yeah, it's 8 months. Let's say in my practice, it's really because it's also sometimes that's some time gap between you have this resolution you send to your service provider, and for example, if the liquidator appointed here in Estonia and can also publish this notice. When they get that resolution and they publish this notice, it also can take 1 to 2 weeks. It's really, you have to consider that the 8 months to 9 months.
But in general, most of the time there is waiting, or what do you think, how much work or time actually a company owner needs to invest in liquidating?
How much time?
I mean, yeah, not the whole 9 months they are working actively on liquidating, right? So most of the time there are waiting time. So how much work it actually is for the company owner?
How much time? It depends of the company actually. That's because you see also that after 3 months you have also present this liquidation balance sheet. It's maybe if you have also that's the between of these, like I don't know, ending of the this financial year, also presenting the annual reports on these financial years. And then I don't know, it's probably if you're appointing this liquidator from Estonia who is a service provider, it's maybe this for owner, it's the minimal time, it's just time on the waiting, yes. But the service provider will do some documents and send in for signing. And it's also owner have to enter these petitions in the entrepreneur's portal.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks. Then some reporting and legal aspects on liquidation. So as I said, that this liquidation balance sheet should be presented, and it's usually this company should continue keep the records and presenting the annual reports if the deadline here within the period liquidation. And you should understand that when you make this resolution, you should also be prepared as if you have some ongoing transaction and so what, it's better to close this transaction, because when you sign this resolution with this date, after that the company cannot operate a normal way. The only function that the selling of assets and the paying debts, and after that distribution of the assets that they will go to owner, and paying taxes, of course. And this liquidation may be reversed to ordinary operation, but you have this period between you make this resolution, it started liquidation but not finished, and you not presented this final balance sheet to register. It means during the 6 months you can decide that you stop in liquidation and you go to ordinary mode of the operations. And then this petition also should be presented to register, because when you started liquidation, everyone see on the register that you have company name and they put it under liquidation. So any creditors, any partner see that you decided already liquidation. It's not operating company. And of course, regarding this liability of the members of the management board, it's when you appointed they continue as liquidators, or you appoint a new liquidator, they have some responsibility for any damage that's maybe caused by the operations or what they do. And this responsibility is 5 years from the date when you do any events of transaction that's cause the damage for company or the third parties. And tax aspects of that. No, let's say if it's many tax aspects maybe were involved on the liquidation if you have quite long time operated this company and have more many transactions. But if you just finishing this liquidating, after liquidating, you distribute the assets that you want to take. That's the company, from the company. Then you should understand you can deduct this. That's the amount that's the paid on share capital. And these assets that will be transferred to owner, it will be taxed in the same manner as a dividends. It means that you take 20%, or it's actually it's calculated as a 20 of 80 part of the tax base. So I just put it very simple example of that to understand how this calculated. And this, as I said, as the company may not be deleted from the commercial register without written consent of the tax authority. It's if your company have no any quite complicated history or just presented or declaration in past, it's usually no any problems from tax authority. It's registered, just sent a notice, waiting till the 10 days. If nothing coming claims from tax authority, it will be automatically after 5 days, it will be deleted. And then one question also asked from Raimo, probably this interesting to your residency owners, how to keep dormant company. It's look like hold on company. It's really, I think it's also this one alternative. If you right now you have no any idea how to use this company, but maybe you're using this in future or can sell this in future, you can just hold on this company in register. It's no any time that's if you're not operated in your field of area of this activity or like that, so you have to close the company. You can keep this company. You can change the fields of activities, so you can change the owners and so on. The only way anyway, you have to keep accounting records and you present these annual reports. If you have no any employees here, you have no any expenses or revenue, you should not present this tax declaration. Then it's quite easy with that. You just, I don't know, the minimal requirements that you present annual reports one time per year. This your company will continue in register. But if you're not presenting these annual reports, it's maybe troubles, because that this register can send you like a reminder that you're not presenting these annual reports and giving you additional time. And then if you're not react, then this register, or let's say this is a headed by court decision actually, they will publish this notice in official journal asking creditor to present claims or initiate liquidation of the company. If it's not done with the same 4 months, then court can delete your company. This in past, it's also considered that this is the cheaper way to liquidate company. But the last year, I put it here. Then court can delete, but they also have the rights to impose penalties on this company. And the last years, they're using this option as the first. They impose penalties, 1, 2, 3 penalties. Then actually it's penalties to company and members of the board. So in fact, in I don't know, in 1 year after this penalty procedures, they have also this obligation to tax authority before this deletion.
So I think to comment on e-residency side, we definitely do not recommend to use that way. So if everything is done correctly, it's much better, and it's also it's also considered when you want to prolong or renew your e-residency. Then this factor would be also considered if you have let's say dead companies.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thanks. We have questions now. So I start from somewhere. First of all, going back to the selling the company, one e-resident asks, are there any other services or options apart from notary service to make the selling procedure or to make the transaction?
If you speak about these private companies, private liability companies, the only way it's making this using the notary. If we speaking about public companies, it's also that it can be done on the form of just agreement between the buyer and the seller and buyer, but your shares should be registered in the central, what's that, depositorium of the shares at NASDAQ. So it means that if you have this your shares registered here, they keep register of the shares. It's not needed notary services here.
Okay. Then there are even a couple of questions about is there somewhere public list of those illegal or gray liquidation companies, or to put it other way, is there a list of legal or correct liquidators somewhere?
I think no, this official list. Actually, this blacklist it's kept by tax authority, but it's not some open with. Time to time, they just publish it as these persons are under investigation, and you can just put in Google with as the searching, and you find it some information on, for example, on court cases that it was decided against these individuals.
Okay. So one thing is that actually most of the service providers that are helping e-residents to form a company, to provide legal address and contact person services, or giving you legal advice, then they are quite often the ones who could help you in liquidation process. Am I correct?
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. First of all, you can ask from your service providers. Usually they also assist in liquidations.
Mm-hmm. So then there's a question about liquidation service costs. I will put it. I will split it to two questions. There are very different pricing levels, from a couple of hundreds to 1,500, 200,000 euros. What are the main factors? What makes the price lower or higher?
As I said, it depends that the complexity of the company operations, maybe of the time of this company work it, and then of course this depends of the I don't know, this hourly rates of the legal advisors, because it's maybe different in different firms. But I said that these gray liquidators, they suggest in this very cheaper, I don't know, 200, 300. But really, maybe that's if following these all procedures, presenting these documents, preparing that, it will be something between 1,000 to 2,000. What's the real price of that?
And then the other part of this question I would love to ask is that, well, there is usually a reason why one wants to close the company, and quite often is that there is no business or it's financially difficult. So what are the cheapest options? How to close the company? I mean, like, are there any options to do more work on your own side and then use less service providers? Or what would be the option?
Yeah, it's actually, if you look to my presentation, I put it all main point as it should be followed. But that's if you look at that, I don't know, in recorded presentation, you can also do the most of this from your side. But this one questions you find this. If you go to liquidation, you have to find that some person who is ready to be this liquidator from Estonian part.
And
it may be also not a service provider, but your partner in Estonia, for example.
But at the same time, this person needs to be aware that he is also responsible of the decisions made during the liquidation.
He have a solidarity responsibility for this any transaction from the starting of liquidation to deletion.
There is an interesting question which we kind of covered, that basically could we say that closing the company could be more expensive than opening it?
Yes, that is one surprise on that. But really, I look at also as, for example, this doing business by World Bank, and it was also market that the Estonia is one of the countries it's where it's very easy to set company, but this liquidation procedures it's quite long, because this 9 months for liquidation is quite long. But I said that the one alternative, that's the if your company not work it and maybe no have any assets, that's the just use that this merger with this individual assets.
This was also one thing I would love to focus on a bit more. So just to remind, what are the main rules for being able to merge your assets with a natural person? Are they allowed to have some business activity or not before that?
Yes, of course. This is a big, because of before of that it's just ordinary company.
Mm-hmm. But what are the main rules that need to be followed, or what are the restrictions? In which cases you cannot do that?
You cannot do that if you have in the state of insolvency of this person who will be acquired this company or merger. But I'm not sure how that can be applied, if this how this e-residents can prove this, that they are not insolvent in home country. But maybe it's some I don't know, tax authority can confirm that.
Yes, I think we could recommend people who are actually thinking of using that option to contact to Estonian Tax Board to get the more detailed overview of that.
Yeah.
I think we have more or less covered the questions as well. I have another one probably for you. Regarding this Dormant company, or in which cases you think it does make sense to keep your company instead of liquidating it? What's your suggestion in the business point of view?
So it's really maybe recommended if you have just right now, I don't know, because of crisis or like that, you're not showing that your ideas can be realized, but maybe you can apply this company for some another projects. If you decided to close businesses, or I don't know, to end any businesses in Estonia or any businesses worldwide, it's better to close company or delete companies. If you have some intentions that you can develop some business in future, that's you can keep for 1-2 years this company.
There is another question that's quite interesting. What if my e-residency card has expired, but I have an active company in Estonia? What happens?
Maybe you can say better about how this to extend this validation of the card. But really, that's what in my experience that's happened all the time. That's if the card is not valid anyway, that's the problem. That's to actually you have to get a new card in your country, because it's probably, I don't know, when you can come to Estonia, you can go here and get a new card. But right now, if you have that, the consular, that's the issuing these cards, you can get from that. Because if it's not valid anyway, you cannot extend this card. You have to get just a new card, in fact.
Yes, but just to make it clear, if your card has expired, it doesn't automatically mean that your company will be closed.
No, no.
Yes.
You will be a problem that you cannot access these entrepreneur portals with ID card, and you cannot submit these petitions.
Yes, exactly.
Then you have, of course, power attorney to some people who have this ID card and can do this in behalf of the company.
Yes, and you can always use notaries as well. But yeah, what we could recommend now in this COVID-19, during the COVID-19 crisis, is that yes, there are travel restrictions all around the world. But at the same time, Estonian police and border guard are still going through the applications, and the e-residency cards are still issued. And now already more and more embassies are opened again, or they have been opened like the most of the time, but it's more easy to travel now again inside your country. So we strongly recommend you to apply for a new card if the old one has expired, and order it to the nearest embassy near you. And then currently you need to definitely contact your nearest embassy, or the embassy where did you order your card, to agree when and how you can go and pick up your card or your new card. But yeah, the system still works, and we see that the moment is getting a bit looser now. So I think quite soon you can go and pick up your card. On the other hand, if your card is already in the embassy and it has been there already nearly 6 months, which is usually the time period when the card is kept in the embassy, we recommend you to contact directly to the embassy to extend the period so that they will hold your card there a longer time. So if the travel restrictions are cancelled, you can go and pick up your card maybe in June, July, something like this. That's what we recommend at the moment. But yes, it's true that your company still exists when your card has expired. It's just much more uncomfortable to run your digital business because you cannot use the digital signing. And for that, we also recommend actually you to, if your card is still valid, to register yourself a smart ID option, which makes you possible to still access to the online services and also online dashboard and so on. I think we have done. Thank you, Vadim, for giving us an overview. It was really useful, and for those who participated through Zoom and registered yourself, the links and the PowerPoints will be sent in a few days. For others, you can see the recording soon in the YouTube and Facebook. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye.